the expansion of Sioux Center Health, both our senior campus and our hospital campus. So this is kind of the update of where we're at with everything. Ask questions throughout it if you want. There's also a question time at the end. We are moving through the process relatively rapidly. This was one of the targets that the board put on me when I started right away, so it has been full speed ahead ever since. So just a quick little bit of data. For Sioux Center Health, 75% of our service area is right here in Sioux Center. Probably doesn't surprise everyone just with the growth of Sioux Center and everything else. Roughly the other 25% is in Sioux County. We have a few people in the service area that come from outside the county, but not enough to make up a real big statistical number. The same is true for our senior care. Our senior care really does come right here from in town and just barely outside of town. And you can see the other locations with nursing homes around. You got Rock Valley, Sheldon, Orange City, Haywarden, and Hull. So we're kind of the center of all those other nursing homes as well. You've seen this before from when the city did their presentation. Sioux Center's growth is just phenomenal when you look at the state of Iowa, Sioux County, and Sioux Center itself. So we're looking at, I don't know where's Dennis at, we're looking over 8,000 now, right, for population in town? And what's the town grow to during the day?
Over 3,000 people.
Another 3,000, so you're looking at 11,000 people here over the course of the day. So when you look at that community and you break it down a little bit further, we had a study done to really make sure that we knew what we were doing going into this. Our population's increased by 13.2% the last decade. The state's 4.1%. But when you break that down further, the 85 plus population, which is our primary target for skilled nursing, has increased 33%. And then we look from 2019 to 2024, that 65 plus population is going to grow by another 10%. So we are woefully underbedded, underroomed for our senior capacity in our community and our region. So much so when we went through a certificate of need process, which is a state process you have to go through to get approval for additional nursing home beds. The nursing homes in Haywarden, Orange City, and Rock Valley all wrote letters saying they weren't opposed to it because everybody is so busy and all the rooms are taken. The waiting lists are so long that people are having to leave our communities and our region to get those needs served. So Sioux Center itself, we're looking at this demand. Right now it says we're 46 nursing home beds short in Sioux Center, and by 2024 we'll be 58 short. So keep those numbers in mind as we talk about the building that we're doing here. We also want to promote access to care. This isn't all just about growth in the nursing home, it's about growth in our community and the needs to access care. So we've added 3 physicians, back it up here, 3 physicians, Dr. Vandenbosch and both Dr. Janssens, not related, not married. And then we've added Claire Roseboom and Jill Van Otterloo as PAs to our campus. They're all 80% more full. In fact, both the Janssens who do OB are right up there at the top of our deliveries with our most experienced physicians and busiest physicians right now. So it's just a really growing need in our community. We also acquired the Haywarden Medical Clinic at the beginning of this year. And in 2020, Jean Klein-Hasselink, who's been a family nurse practitioner here for many years, is going to go full-time behavioral health because we added that service about a year ago and it's just exploding in need. And we're currently recruiting 2 more advanced practice providers, basically those PAs and APPs, to really meet that service need. It's honestly disheartening for me as a CEO, and I'm sure for all of you trying to access care, when you call in on Monday or Tuesday and there's no appointments available for the rest of the week already. That happens, I walk up through the clinic multiple times a day, and usually by Tuesday, the only time that a person can get in if they don't have a scheduled appointment for the next week is Friday with a walk-in time or urgent care. That's just not acceptable from us as a health ministry trying to provide those needs to all of our people. So we're really trying to catch up on that. We never thought we'd have to grow onto the hospital and the clinic side of things after only opening in 5 years, but I think that's a testament to the growth of Sioux Center and what's happening around us. So here's the site plan. It's a little bit harder to see. We'll break it down to smaller here in a little bit. But up here is the hospital campus, and then straight across the open field is the senior campus. So you can kind of see the colored areas, and most of you know I'm colorblind, so I'm not going to attempt to say what colors those are. But those different colors, that's the expansion to the clinic, family medicine clinic, that's the expansion to our specialty clinic. There's a medical office building out here for occupational health and home medical, which currently resides up by the Hy-Vee in some rented space. And then down here, all this different color from the white is additions to the senior campus. So you've got 24 assisted living, 16 assisted living memory, 32 nursing home, and then a large connector area that we're calling Main Street that really creates that connector for our entire campus. I'll move to this side so you guys can see more now. Really creates that connector for our entire campus over there and gets people out of their rooms, out of their areas. It'll have different amenities to it that we'll talk about as we move forward here. So there's the hospital campus again, so it's easier to see the specialty clinic. Basically adding one more wing on there. Anybody that's gone in and see a specialist for us knows that there's 2 wings in there, and they get really busy during the days that we have specialists, and we want to be able to bring more specialists to town. We don't want to have people have to drive to Sioux City, to Sioux Falls to access care when we can bring it right here. And then the same thing on the hospital side on the clinic side, we're adding 16 new clinic exam rooms and office space to host up to 7 more physicians or APPs as we continue to grow. And then again, the medical office building, you can see here there's room for semi-trucks, because right now anybody that does the OC health stuff, they go do their DOT physical, do parts of their occupational health stuff up there at Hy-Vee, then they got to come over to the clinic sometimes to get their blood work done and everything. So we're trying to create that one-stop shop for folks and really make it a lot easier access for everyone. So there's what the front of the hospital will look like when we get it all done. You can see this area right here, that's the existing front of the hospital. We're going to keep the canopy, but we're going to push this out quite a ways to the east, and then we're going to push this area out to the east about 1/3 as much as this. So we're trying to keep that canopy and keep that loop through there, that U through there for a drop-off and pick-up area, and keep that front design of the hospital that was important in everybody's planning there. So we're also adjusting the main entrance. Who's been confused when they've walked into the clinic saying, where do I register, where do I go, how do I get to where I'm going? Me included, okay? So right now when you walk into the hospital or you're going to go to the clinic, if you're going to go to the clinic in particular, you got to go all the way around here, and here's the front entrance of the clinic. It's really the back entrance of the clinic when you start looking at where it all lays out. So we're changing all of our registration process, so you'll be able to register right here at all of these areas when you walk right in. Also be able to register for the specialist right over here. So you walk in, you're going to go see one of the specialists, ortho, something like that. Right there, you don't have to cross any other hallways or anything. Here you check in, you go to the waiting area, and then you'd enter the clinic right here. So you'd be able to go down hallways, whichever direction you're going to see the physicians. We're also going to move urgent care over to here. So urgent care, right now you come in, you check in here, you go through here, you work back here, and you're into urgent care. Now you're going to come into urgent care, you're going to go to the same waiting room, and you're going to access this first hallway for urgent care. So really combining it with the hospital, one stop, going to a clinic appointment. And kind of moving these last little ones, if you wonder right there, we're moving some administrative services to the back of the clinic. Trying to keep all the clinical services, all the medical services to the front of the clinic, and all the administrative stuff to the back to keep any disruption out of the way. So this is what it'll look like when you walk into the front door. The color schemes and stuff may not be quite accurate, but it'll be that type of look when we get in there. And then this will be, when you walk in, you look to your left, you'll see the waiting areas. These will be the registration areas. And then there's waiting area over here with nice open sunlight and everything for that access. Medical office building, so this would sit just to the southeast of the existing hospital, kind of right off that end of the parking lot there. We've got tentatively planned out right now for home medical equipment to be in this end and occupational health to be in this end, and we've got a little bit of space in the middle that we haven't designated for, but we want to have a little bit of extra space because over the next 2 years we're sure something will come up that we've forgotten about through the process, or will grown enough that we need to move something out of the hospital into this area, or we're able to partner with somebody else to provide a need in the community that isn't here already. Really trying to blend it in so it really looks like the rest of the hospital. It will actually face east, so it'll be that east fronting face. Trying to have it as open as we can. but yet not blinding for people when that east sun and south sun hits in the winter like it is right now. But again, it should provide that one stop. You go to the clinic, the physician says, you might want to think about getting this device to help you in your home. You don't have to drive all the way across town to do it. You go right to the home medical office, get it scheduled. Same thing with occupational health and employee health. So senior care, just to give you a little bit of perspective there. Currently, Royal Meadows, the nursing home was built in 2005, has a 69 bed capacity. 9 of those are in double rooms. So we have that challenge sometimes. If you have somebody waiting and it's a male and there's a female in the other room, while they may want to be together, we probably don't need to put them together. So we're adding 32 new rooms onto that, all single rooms. So then we can take those existing double rooms and we can make those double rooms into rooms where people actually want to be together. Husbands and wives, sisters, friends, those types of things. So it'll be a great option for them instead of a requirement of moving in with somebody that you don't know. Crown Point, the assisted living. Currently we have 22 assisted living rooms or apartments in there and 24 independent living apartments in there. So we're adding 24 more new apartments for that. Some of those apartments will be deluxe suites, so there'll be 2-person options available within those as well. Franken Manor, another component that's on Highway 75 up here. That was built in '73. Sioux Center Health acquired it in '77. So we have 17 assisted living apartments in there and 12 independent living. Right now, in all of those services, those top 3, we run 95 to 100% capacity at all times in there. Usually closer to the 100% the last 3 years in particular. So the waiting list can be tremendous for that. I think I got it in another slide here too. A waiting list for our assisted living right now runs 30 to 40 people any given day. For a nursing home, 5 to 7 people in critical need of getting into the nursing home with another 20 to 30 on a waiting list of call me if you think there's a room coming open because we're going to have that need. Memory care, well, that's a new service we're adding. Yes?
Is Franken Manor going to go bye-bye?
It is not. We don't have any plans for Franken Manor to go bye-bye at this time. But when we look at a map here again, I'll show you, in our 25-year plan, we have thoughts of bringing, with the age of Franken Manor and what it may cost to recondition it down the road, we've thought about bringing that service onto this campus as well as a standalone building to create that next level of service that may be needed. So right now, there's no plans to do anything other than refreshing some things in there that needs refreshing. But again, as we look at all kinds of options, we look at options, if we do that with them, do we then remodel them and make them efficiency apartments for some staff when we have a hard time recruiting staff like a lot of you guys do too? So a lot of different thoughts, or we work with the city. What's the city's next need for expansion along 75? Because that whole corridor is going to change. So it's a great partnership that we have with the city to start planning on that stuff moving forward. Good question though. So the memory care assisted living, again, that's something we don't have right now. So we're trying to add that service. We believe that's a much needed service. Individuals that have a dementia-related condition but are still very able to ambulate, get around on their own, get themselves dressed, just may get confused, need a little bit more help, don't necessarily need nursing home level of care. We want to be able to provide that option for them. So we're going from a total of 144 beds, slots, apartments, whatever you want to call them, to 216. So it's a pretty good jump, but we haven't made any jumps for 15 to 20 years when you look at that. And you look how Sioux Center has changed during that time frame. And we're also going to take it as an opportunity to rebrand the entire campus to be inclusive of all our services. Contrary to what you may have read in the media this week, we have not named it yet. It is not senior living. We are calling it, when we do these presentations, our senior living campus, but we are going to take the opportunity as we work through this process to rebrand it, because sometimes people are comfortable going to Crown Point, but they don't want to go to Royal Meadows because of the stigma. Royal Meadows is that next level where people, I don't really want to go there, I don't need to go there yet. We'd like people to just go to whatever we're going to call this and say it's a continuum of care, and you just reside at that entire campus as one. So back to your question a second ago. So if we would move Franken down the road and I'd do some other stuff we thought about down in here to add that. We also, you'll see another map in just a second where we're taking it another level of service for our next level of expansion. So there's what the whole campus looks like together on that senior side. Again, skilled nursing over there, memory care, assisted living, and then that Main Street connector. We're also redoing the front entrance, so the main entrance to the entire campus will be right here at Crown Point. So it kind of draws people into that Main Street area. There still will be access here with a covered entrance and everything. I don't have that on this map yet right now. But you can see the differences in designs. We intentionally designed the assisted living memory different. You generally don't want, when people are having memory challenges, you don't want them to run into dead-end hallways and stuff like that, because it can be very frustrating and challenging for them when they hit that and they can't get to where they thought they were going. So if you can create a pathway for them to navigate, makes it a lot easier. And then it also creates more of a secure inner courtyard so they can access outside. You don't have to worry about the potential of somebody wandering where they shouldn't wander. So like I said, everything's going to private rooms. We're going to have much more modern dining, a lot of family style dining. You can see these areas are going to have roll-up areas, so individuals can help assist in cooking classes, things like that. Be much more interactive than what the old style nursing home and assisted living used to be. Exterior courtyards, each of those areas will have an exterior courtyard, so the nursing home area is actually going to tuck into the side hill going to the north a little bit, so it'll kind of create a natural courtyard for it. The memory care, as we said, will have its own courtyard to be able to get people outside and move around a lot more, create those nature spaces. The front entrance to Crown Point, you go in there right now, this is all very closed off and dark. You actually can't even get an ambulance under the canopy, it's too short. So we have to redesign that to be able to get emergency vehicle in there. When you walk into the front of Crown Point right now, there's that big grand staircase that's there, if anybody's been in there. That staircase is going to come out. Right now, the major use for that staircase is pictures. And the residents that use that staircase probably shouldn't be using it because of trip hazards, fall hazards, injury hazards, things like that. There obviously will be a much smaller staircase coming off the side, better handrails, a lot easier navigating, rather than having a kind of that big grand staircase. And that'll allow us to open that front end up and create a lot more light, natural environments, everything associated with what you want to do when you walk into someplace. You don't want it to feel dark and closed in, like you're walking down a tunnel. Memory care, as I talked about, again, you would come in off of that north, you have a nice area to come around, all the rooms kind of border those sides. Each of those areas will have sensory activation areas, things to help people remember things, keep learning. Some of those things are really important as an individual who's challenged with memory issues as they grow older. Being able to provide some of those things to stimulate the memory, stimulate the individual, helps delay some of that cognitive decline. Lose a word there. That cognitive decline that happens along the way. So really trying to be purposeful in how we design that, design the activities associated with it. Should I grab mine and not yours?
That's right, I shared.
So when I talked about the Main Street, I was actually in the mall the other day, and it was kind of reminding me of almost the interior of the mall of what a Main Street's going to look like. You know, we're going to try and make sure that we include a lot of things that people do normally in regular life. It's going to have a social club associated with it. It's going to have a salon and spa, mani-pedi, a big community center for large gatherings, a nice quiet chapel area. Newsstand. We want to work with the banks to have a bank kiosk in there with either just an ATM or a video teller available to individuals. A cafe where people can get different food options instead of just having to eat what is prepared meals every single day. There's been a lot of discussion about the social club and how you design that to make it multi-use. So you want to put things in there that you can use for different things. Pool table, whether it's pool table, whether it's TVs to go watch, you know, sporting events, high school, college, you know, professionals, playoffs, things like that. maybe you have service clubs come in and do a happy hour for individuals because they enjoyed doing that as they were aging. We gotta be thinking about not what our current aging population needs, but what are the aging population gonna want 20 years from now? What's Dale gonna need when he goes out there? You know, he's probably gonna want a putting green or something. There you go. So, that'd be Doug who would want that, so. But trying to really be thoughtful when we move forward with that. We've also thought about how to tie some of the history in. You know, so if anybody has any old memorabilia from docks, that would be kind of cool to put inside of there. It's one of those things that we've thought about and talked about. And then the new dining area for our assisted living, a welcome area, almost like a Chamber of Commerce welcome center. So when people come in, whether they're visiting from in town, out of town, somebody's there to greet them and help them navigate the process of where they're going within the entire facility. This is a little distorted and hard to see. It's narrower in this picture than what it is, but this would be south-facing, so these would be all south-facing windows, so a lot of open view to the south for people. This would be all the building frontages and stuff that we'd be talking about, like a mall frontage inside. That would be looking as you're going back out towards the west to the entrance, so you'd have to have both, there's elevation changes, so we have to have a way to navigate that 3 to 4 foot elevation change. There's going to be some stairs and ramps in there. You can see some of the stonework and design, really trying to blend it to look like some of the stuff that's in the hospital right now, using a lot of those same colors, designs, stonework to blend the campuses together more as we move forward. So financing of the project, it's expensive. It's a $33 million project right now. We did secure a $25 million USDA loan. That USDA loan's a 40-year loan at 3%. So we were very fortunate to be able to lock that in this current environment. We're also looking at $8 million in fundraising and bank loans, with about $6 million of that targeted for fundraising itself. And then this project over a 5-year span is going to add 50 to 60 new full-time employees, FTE, to our operation. So right now we're just over 500 employees between Sioux Center, Hawarden, and Hull. Adding these 50 or 60, there will be a variety of employees from all levels, everything from housekeeping to CNAs to nurses to support staff to physicians and advanced practice providers. So it will be a big lift for us in a competitive job environment to get some of that. But it's a plan that we're already working on and trying to meet that. We're not going to need 50 or 60 when we open, obviously, but it's going to be that staged 2-3 year process. Our time frame, we're looking for construction to ensue. I'll back up a second. We're looking to hopefully bid this thing out. February 6th, I think, is that right, Joe? Our target date?
Early February.
Early February, roughly, early first week of February is our target. We've been pretty good about holding to our target so far. So we want to get that out there on the street, so there's good opportunities for people to bid early in the season. If the weather would be cooperative, which it certainly hasn't been the last year or two for people, we'd like to be breaking ground in that April-May timeframe. It's probably a 2-year project, start to finish. When you look at everything that we're doing, it's going to be really 5-6 different projects going on at the same time. So when you look at staging a project like that, we're trying to do economies of scale, trying to break the bid packages out to a lot of different bid packages, so there's going to be a lot of local opportunity to participate in the project. Right now our architect is Perspective Architect, Larry Crane out of Sioux Falls. Our construction manager is McGuff Construction. They are based out of Minneapolis, Cedar Rapids, and Des Moines. But we're going to break these bid packages down so that local companies can, whether it's be bidding on some of the electrical, some of the plumbing, some of the concrete, whatever it may be, breaking them down so it's not just one big bid package where there wouldn't be a good opportunity for competition here locally. We have our own competition here locally. You know, the school's building, everybody else is building, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge as we go along that way too. We'd love to get our assisted living done first, get it open, because that's where the biggest waiting list is right now. But that may or may not happen as we start staging this project out and seeing really what's realistic. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This is going to cause a lot of disruption to individuals living on the senior campus. It's going to cause us to relocate our entrance for the hospital, the clinic side of the hospital, So over on the same north side as the emergency, it'll be just a little bit to the east of the emergency rooms, kind of where we're targeting it at now. But when we start doing that construction, we've got to block off some of that stuff. Parking's going to be a little bit of a mess. So I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of service recovery from irritated people about having a hard time finding parking and navigating their way through. But we're really trying to be thoughtful about that and communicating that, you know, we're going to try and minimize it to the extent that we can, but we appreciate everybody's understanding as we go through this process. You know, when they opened the new hospital 5 years ago, you know, it was shut down one, move into the other. You know, you didn't have that service disruption going on over the course of 2 years like you're going to with this situation. So it'll be much more challenging, and really challenging for those folks living on the senior campus. You know, they're going to be living in the midst of this construction. I put it akin to remodeling a bathroom or remodeling your kitchen over the course of a year and a half instead of over several months. So it's going to be a challenge for them. But they're also very excited. I'm doing a presentation like this to them tomorrow, I think, to talk through some of this stuff. Really trying to get our residents involved in what's happening and even some of the decision making associated with it. So we have a next phase as well. We've put together kind of an immediate, a 5-year, and a 25-year plan. This is hopefully the 5 to 10-year plan. So if you look at the senior campus right here, there's 10 acres just north of it that we really want to look at taking that next level of development. The one thing that we really don't have in our community, in our region, is an opportunity for independent housing with concierge services. So coming off of the new street that's being developed there, just to the north of the senior campus, we'd be looking at creating kind of a town square a little bit with townhouses in the center and around the edges. They look just like residential homes. We'd like to be able to offer concierge services. So if individuals having a challenging time getting their laundry done appropriately, getting the house clean, maybe needing a meal assistance once in a while, but they're not ready to move completely into assisted living, completely into a nursing home, we want to be able to provide that level of service. So as we move through the stages of life, it's really challenging because we go through stages of loss. You just think about that as a person ages. They start losing the ability to do things that they used to be able to do physically. They might start losing some of the ability mentally. They may be having vision issues. They may maybe not be able to drive. And then think about having, you know, maybe at that point they have a loss of their spouse. Then they go through the loss of, can I take care of myself? Maybe start having some bladder issues, things like that. It's just a series of loss. It's inspiring talking about getting older, isn't it? So we're trying to minimize those disruptions and create opportunities for people to really age more in place and age with dignity rather than being forced into something that they're maybe not quite ready for yet. So that's our goal. We have more priorities too. There's a lot of stuff going on. We want to expand our access to care in Hull. Right now we have a clinic and physical therapy up in Hull. We're tapped out on space. We just don't have any availability to get more appointments in because we're out of room. So we're looking at more space, more providers. How do we expand the hours there so people don't, up in that northern part of our reach, don't have to drive to Sioux Center to try and get into care. Haywarden, that operation's been going really well. Right now there's no access to OB services in Haywarden. So we're looking at how can we use our providers to get access to individuals for OB care over there and then have their deliveries over here at Sioux Center. There's businesses over there that can use some occupational health work. Also looking at more providers over there to create access and then more hours there. Again, you want people to be able to access their provider when they need to. And then we continue to work, some of you have been in meetings on this over the last year, trying to work collaboratively with our community partners on access to child care. That's a huge issue in our community. It's one of the top ones for a lot of employers. We hear it all the time since we run the Early Childhood Center too. We hear it quite often. So we ourselves are going through some processes there to try and create more access internally, but also as a community, how do you address that need? Because again, you know, outside of the ECC, there hasn't been any other larger licensed child care opportunities in the community. And when you look across the state of Iowa and even Sioux Center, the amount of in-home daycares continues to decline, and it's a challenge for individuals to access that. And that impacts all of us as employers because, you know, we're trying to get somebody hired on. You know, how do I get my child into daycare? You know, there's a 3-month list, or a 3-month wait list, or a 6-month wait list to get my child into childcare. Or, you know, I can't take a promotion. We hear that in some of this stuff. I can't take a promotion because it's gonna increase my hours, and I've gotta keep my hours to what childcare is available for, because I don't wanna risk losing that childcare option. So there's a lot of different things that we're looking at it as a community to try and meet that need as well. And then 10 reasons why, you know, continuing to grow with Sioux Center and the surrounding area. We really want to reduce that waiting list for assisted living. You know, again, 40 people at some times. Provide the memory care in our community. Reduce the waiting list for a nursing home. Create a vibrant senior committee so people don't feel isolated. Increase family access to family practice, physicians and advanced practice providers. More specialty care right here in our community, in our region. Improve patient flow to the clinics, respond to some confidentiality issues that we have the way the clinics are set up right now, and then responding to employer requests for more integrated occupational health. So that was it. I got done right at the 45 mark where I was supposed to, I think. So anybody have any questions about all of that? I went through it rather quickly. Nothing? I did that poor job that you're wanting to get out of here. I did that good a job. There was no question.
Corey, you went through the numbers, and we're not putting as many beds on as what we need, and why is that?
You know, right now we're trying to put on what we can afford, to be quite honest with you. We have, you know, we built the hospital 5 years ago, or opened it 5 years ago. It's a $48.5 million project. We're still paying loans on that to try and take care of that bill. Like there's a little over $30 million left on that. So we're trying to be responsible and make sure we keep our debt ratio to a spot where we know that we can afford what we're doing in this project. You know, kind of like the old wild white world of sports video they used to show on Saturday mornings. You don't want to get out over your skis and be that guy tumbling down the road. And I don't want to be the guy that that runs Sioux Center Health into a challenge to pay for things financially. So. And the other thing we're trying to do is create multiple service level options. You know, again, people are aging better. I think we're incredibly lucky to live in Sioux County because it's always one of the top 1 to 3 healthiest communities in Iowa, which means people are aging better across the lifespan as well. So whereas, you know, 20, 30 years ago, someone might have went into the nursing home at 70, now they're able to stay in assisted living until 80, 85. We have someone over 100 in our assisted living right now. So it's really trying to meet that people where they're at and create options for them.
One other thing, Corey, go through who owns us. Who is Sioux Center Health?
Sioux Center Health is a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit organization operated by a board of directors. Our board of directors right now, we have a 42-member board of directors. And we have that board of directors that has a subgroup underneath of it, which is an 11-member executive board. That executive board really controls the operational side of things with the management team for the hospital. We're also an Avera partner, which means that we access resources from the Avera system, but we're not owned by the Avera system. Okay? We access their electronic health record. We access some of their IT services. We utilize some of their legal services. We use HR help. I myself am actually an employee of Avera Health. So they employ me, actually Avera McKinnon technically. They employ me, but everybody else on the payroll here is an employee of Sioux Center Health. So it's what's called a management agreement. We get the resources that we want from them, but all the decisions are made local here, which is a great arrangement that we have right now. I didn't plant those questions. Anybody have anything else? Well, there's some booklets that are on the tables that kind of show some of the stuff that's going on as well. There's also a card there with an email address if you have questions that are there. Always feel free to contact